A neighborhood shattered, a story of justice and revenge. The gunshot shattered the stillness of Maple Grove Lane, a sound so sharp it froze my blood. I stood on my porch, my 5-year-old daughter, Lily, clinging to my leg, her tiny hands gripping my jeans. Her wide eyes searched mine for answers I couldn't give. Across the street, Eleanor Hayes, the iron-fisted president of our homeowners association, stood on her pristine lawn, a smoking pistol in her trembling hands. At her feet lay Lily's father, Daniel, blood pooling beneath his faded blue shirt. "Stay here, Lily," I said, my voice cracking. I pried her hands loose and nudged her toward the open door. "Go inside. Now." She didn't budge, her small frame rooted to the spot, staring at her father. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice breaking. I wanted to scoop her up, shield her from this nightmare, but there was no time. My heart pounded as I sprinted across the street, my sneakers slapping the pavement. Eleanor's face was ashen, her eyes wild, the gun still in her grip. Neighbors spilled onto their lawns, whispering, pointing. I dropped to my knees beside Daniel, pressing my hands against the wound in his chest. Warm blood coated my fingers. His breathing was shallow, his eyes fluttering. "Stay with me, Daniel," I pleaded. Eleanor's lips twitched, as if she wanted to speak. "He was trespassing," she stammered. "He didn't belong here. I told him to leave." "Trespassing?" I snapped, rage boiling over. "He was picking up his daughter." My eyes darted to Lily, who had followed me despite my orders. She stood a few feet away, clutching her stuffed bear, tears streaming down her face. "Daddy's hurt," she whimpered. I wanted to scream at Eleanor, to shake her, but I forced myself to focus. Someone shouted they were calling 911. A neighbor fumbled with their phone. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Daniel's hand twitched, reaching for mine. "Lily," he murmured. "She's here," I said, my throat tight. "She's safe." He managed a faint smile before his head lolled back. Paramedics shoved me aside, working frantically. Police cars screeched to a halt, officers swarming the scene. One disarmed Eleanor and cuffed her as she babbled about her rights. Lily ran to me, burying her face in my shirt, sobbing. Nobody in Pineview Estates knew who I was. Not Eleanor, not the gossiping neighbors, not even Daniel. To them, I was just Claire, a single mom struggling with HOA fees and raising Lily. They didn't know I was the deputy commissioner of the county sheriff's department, overseeing every major case in the region. I'd seen crime scenes like this before, but never with my family at the center. At the hospital, under harsh fluorescent lights, Lily curled up in my lap, clutching her bear. "Daddy's going to be okay," I whispered, as much for myself as for her. Hours dragged by. Finally, a doctor emerged, her expression grim. "He's stable," she said. "The bullet missed his heart, but he lost a lot of blood. He's not out of danger yet." Relief flooded me, but it was laced with fury. Eleanor had nearly stolen Daniel from us from Lily. I kissed my daughter's head, resolve hardening. I wasn't just a mom now. I was the deputy commissioner, and Eleanor would pay. The next morning, I left Lily with my sister and stormed into the sheriff's office. My colleagues were already buzzing about the shooting. News spreads fast in a small town. Sheriff Brooks met me in his office, concern etched on his face. "Claire, you shouldn't be here. Take leave." "I can't," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "I need this case." He frowned. "You're too close to it." I leaned forward, fist clenched. She shot Daniel in front of my daughter. "I won't sit idly by." After a tense pause, he relented. "Fine, but you're not lead. You assist, and you stay objective." "Clear." I nodded, already piecing together the puzzle. Eleanor's excuse trespassing was flimsy. You don't shoot an unarmed man for stepping on your lawn, especially not when he's there to pick up his kid. But something about her reaction gnawed at me. It wasn't just her HOA obsession. There was a deeper, personal hatred in her eyes. I dug into her file. Eleanor Hayes, 52, widowed, no kids, HOA president for a decade. She ruled Pineview like a tyrant, fining people for minor infractions, threatening foreclosures. Rumors swirled about her sabotaging a neighbor's garden over a landscaping dispute, but nothing criminal. Nothing explained this. Interviews with neighbors revealed Daniel had been visiting more often, trying to rebuild his bond with Lily after a rough year. We'd split when Lily was 2, but he was a devoted dad, despite his beat-up truck and chaotic life. Eleanor had targeted him, leaving notes on his vehicle, calling it an eyesore. Then I had a breakthrough. A nervous neighbor, Mrs. Gupta, confided that Eleanor was fixated on Daniel. She'd watch him from her window, she said, twisting her hands, muttering about his kind ruining the neighborhood. My stomach churned. Daniel was black, and while Pineview was diverse, Eleanor's prejudice was glaring. But this felt personal. Property records and HOA minutes uncovered a bombshell. Eleanor had been pressuring the bank to foreclose on our house, citing late HOA payments. Daniel had confronted her about it a week earlier, threatening to expose her harassment. He'd recorded their argument. A search of Eleanor's home revealed a diary, pages filled with rants about maintaining order. She called Daniel a threat to property values, documenting his visits, his truck, even Lily's playdates with chilling precision. One line, written the night before the shooting, stopped me cold. He knows too much. He must be stopped. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment act. It was premeditated. In the interrogation room, Eleanor sat primly, her composure infuriating. I was protecting my community, she insisted. I slid the diary page across the table. You wrote you wanted him gone. We have Daniel's recording, too. Her facade cracked, just for a moment. You don't understand, she snapped. I built this neighborhood. People like him ruin it. I leaned in, voice low. People like him? You mean black people, or anyone who defies your rules? She flinched, and I knew I had her. The case was ironclad. Attempted murder, assault, hate crime charges. But victory felt hollow. Lily's tear-streaked face haunted me. She didn't care about justice, she just wanted her dad. Daniel recovered slowly, moving in with us. Lily clung to him, asking nightly, Are you okay, Daddy? He'd ruffle her hair and say, Getting there, kiddo. Pineview wasn't the same. Eleanor's arrest exposed a rot in the community. Neighbors whispered about other families she'd targeted. The HOA board was disbanded, and I helped form a new one, using my position to ensure no one could wield unchecked power again. But Eleanor hadn't acted alone. Mrs. Larson, a retired librarian, had photographed Daniel's truck and trailed us to the park. Mr. Bennett, a former cop, had filed false reports about Daniel, fueled by his own bias. A private investigator, Carl Reed, had been hired by Eleanor to stalk us, amassing photos and reports on Daniel's every move. I launched a quiet campaign. As deputy commissioner, I had access to city resources. I tipped off code enforcement about Mrs. Larson's property violations, peeling paint, an oversized fence, and overgrown shrubs. Fines piled up, draining her savings. She sold her car, then her house, and moved away, broken. Mr. Bennett's old cases were reviewed, revealing a pattern of misconduct. His pension was slashed, his reputation ruined. His wife left him, and he slunk off to a dingy apartment. Carl Reed, cornered with the threat of accessory charges, agreed to testify against Eleanor. His PI license was revoked, relegating him to mall security. The trial gripped the town. TV crews camped outside the courthouse. The prosecution, led by DA Emily Torres, presented a damning case. The diary, Daniel's recording, Reed's photos, Lily's heartbreaking testimony. My 6-year-old, clutching her bear, described watching her father collapse, blood staining his shirt. I thought Daddy was going to die, she said. The defense tried to trip her up, but she stared at Eleanor and said, She hurt my daddy. I saw her. Jurors wept. Eleanor was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 25 years, effectively life. 6 months later, a letter arrived at my office with Eleanor's neat handwriting on the envelope. I nearly tossed it, but curiosity won. It revealed a gut punch. My late husband, Michael, who died in a car crash when Lily was a baby, had been investigating Eleanor's HOA corruption. He'd uncovered her embezzlement and discrimination, planning to expose her. The night before his death, they'd argued at her house. She didn't cause the crash, but she wrote, I was glad when it happened. It solved my problem. When I moved to Pineview, she saw it as a chance to torment Michael's widow, targeting Daniel to hurt me. I reopened Michael's case. His files confirmed he'd been building a case against Eleanor. His death, on a treacherous road after leaving her house, was ruled accidental, but it let her crimes fester. I never told Daniel or Lily. Some truths are too heavy. I locked the letter in my safe, beside Michael's ring, vowing to honor his fight. Daniel and I were married 2 years later, a quiet backyard ceremony with Lily as our flower girl. Pineview transformed. The new HOA prioritized fairness. Block parties and community gardens replaced Eleanor's sterile rules. Lily, now 11, is confident, her bear still on her bed, but her fears have faded. Eleanor rots in prison. Mrs. Larson lives in a retirement home. Mr. Bennett drinks alone. Carl Reed fades into obscurity. Pineview isn't perfect, but it's our place where kids play freely, neighbors share meals, and everyone belongs. Michael would be proud. Justice and revenge may blur, but survival is clear. Every time Lily laughs, every time Daniel smiles, I know we won. What do you think about this story? Should Claire have pursued her justice against Eleanor's accomplices, or was the legal system enough? How would you handle such violence and injustice in your community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective.